Hey everyone. So I apologize for the interruption. I actually have timers that were set and one of them went off and interrupted the flow of the video. But it was also really great timing because I needed to head out for work. So I am taking a short break and we're gonna finish this up. Okay, so we were talking about the Mucoid Plaque Cleanse by Richard Anderson. By Richard Anderson. I love this book and I love this man. He's a mentor of mine and I hope one day I actually get a chance to meet him because that would just be swell. That would just be swell to me. He is a brilliant man who took a lot of consideration and time when he put this together, and it has changed my life. The Clean Me Out program, his Mucoid Plaque Cleanse, which I believe he coined the term, has changed my life. So just to recap from the first video, I was talking about I give you the background of how I found the Mucoid Plaque Cleanse, how I found the Clean Me Out program, and then how I've used that program to actually wean and detox myself from really toxic and strong substances, such as Adderoll. And I did that twice. And then edibles, done, check. And then most recently, alcohol. Now we can kind of get back to that. I think when the video ended, when I was at home, I think the video ended when I was kind of explaining that cycle of contrast that you feel. And either you choose to follow what feels good, the shorter duration in between cleanses means that you have a shorter amount of time in between feeling good and feeling not good. And that contrast is significant and can become life-changing if you lean into it. So if you lean into it and you choose not to feel bad anymore, if you choose to feel good, then I'm using these products to actually jump back into feeling good. It's a way through like addiction. It's a way through behaviors that are addiction forming. And that's huge. So either you choose to follow the cycle of feeling good. So you want to, once you start feeling bad, it's like you want to feel good. And so you jump back into it. And then finally you kind of work it out and you just decide that like, you are going to eliminate the behavior because the behavior makes you feel bad. Even though you're totally functional, it makes you feel bad. And in that case, you're actually not totally functional. You're not even living your best life. And I've chosen to follow that and live my best life. So I am super thrilled that, and then there's also the alternative, which means that people can choose to ignore that and they'll just follow the feeling bad until all of a sudden their body's just numb to it and it feels normal to them to feel terrible. So I had been going back and forth with the alcohol thing. Can I have fun and still drink and then I'll just, recover and feel bad for a little while and then I'll feel good? But how often are we doing things that don't include alcohol anymore? I mean, we even watch TV and drink alcohol, or there's even yoga and beer. I would never do that, but I'd go out with my girlfriends after a yoga class and have a beer or have a glass of wine, and that's trendy, but it doesn't capitalize on good feelings. Anyway, so it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. And so you can kind of go back and forth in this space, appreciating where you are the whole time, but going back and forth. But so we just need to remember that cleansing is not a linear process. We move in and out with the best intentions, but when we go back to the behaviors that we were using before the cleanse, then we're going to feel the way we did before we cleansed. And I think that that contrast is really important to experience, because personally experience. Because then you know, and then you actually have that influence. That's almost like it's gravity. It's so it's so impactful. So anyway, we'll move in and out with the best intentions until we decide that we're done. And when we're done, we're just done. And not a moment before. So don't rush it. Don't rush it. Just allow it to happen. It's important to keep the back and forth going. It's the contrast that you experience between right and wrong living that acts as your beacon and will redirect you into a way of living that feels good to you. It will do this naturally and gradually and comfortably. So you'll kind of retain a comfortable and gradual rediscovery of your natural state of peace and ease and of well-being. And there are no truer words that have ever been spoken, and this is my testimony to you. So until 3 weeks ago, just 1 second. Hi. So until 3 weeks ago, and my 8-day fast, an 8-day water fast, to resolve the deep feelings of anger that I was feeling, I drank alcohol to feel something. I ended that fast saying that I was going to drink alcohol to feel something. What? What? Not a lot, not excessively, but just enough to feel bad. Just enough to feel bad. And that was enough for me. The contrast between when I drank and when I didn't was just so incredible. The cleaner I became, the more aware of the contrast between feeling good and feeling bad. Even the slight and subtle shifts, you can feel that. And so I explored 6 days of this contrast and wrote about it. So my solution from feeling bad is to Mucoid Plaque Cleanse again. It was to Mucoid Plaque Cleanse. It was to dive back into a Mucoid Plaque Cleanse after 6 days, having ended that, I guess ending my water fast, was to dive into a Mucoid Plaque Cleanse. This would clean my body of the substance that was in it and make me feel good. So the fastest way back to feeling good was to clean my blood through a Mucoid Plaque Cleanse. So I keep this product on hand and I dove right in. 14 days, okay? But the big lesson here is that you can't jump from, I wrote this down. I can't jump from where I want to be without gradually moving through new behaviors. So I must eliminate alcohol before I can water fast. So I made 3 days of water fasting, and then I decided that I was going to continue my Mucoid Plaque Cleanse, but I was going to eat regular meals. And the second lesson that I learned is that, while I was exploring this, it's not that I know that alcohol didn't make me feel uncomfortable, but during this time that I allowed myself to eat regular scheduled meals and I was continuing the Mucoid Plaque Cleanse, my mind got clear and I was able to get peace, like a sense of peace and ease. So I was able to think clearly about how I felt and the situation. And I thought, hey, alcohol is that thing that pinches me off. This really can't be a negotiation anymore. Alcohol is that thing that pinches me off. My friends can go out and have a good time. I can go out and have a good time with them, but I am pinched off after I drink. And it takes me a long time to tap in. And there's a lot of turbulence and a lot of frustration that happens in the interim. And so I am not doing that anymore. So I realized that alcohol is the thing that pinches me off. That's the lesson too. And I need to get rid of it, and I need to get rid of it completely. And I've known this for a while, but I had no idea that this cleanse, this last 14-day Mucoid Plaque Cleanse was going to be the cleanse to end all alcohol consumption for me. It's finally gone. It's over. Like, it's done. Like, I got rid of Adderall. I got rid of edibles. I am finally done with alcohol. I do not need to go out with my friends and have a good time with alcohol. I don't have to drink. And just because I'm not drinking doesn't mean that I have to sit at home. I don't have to sit at home. I can go out and to eat and bring my book and enjoy food. Yay! So I did that. I actually practiced that while I was on the Mucoid Plaque Cleanse. I went out to eat a couple times. And I dig it. I can dig that. I can do that. I actually went out with a friend of mine that I've never not had a drink with. And I didn't order a drink, and neither did he. And he didn't even ask me about it. What? So, yay. So I'm done. And that is a big deal. So I Mucoid Plaque water cleansed for 3 days, and then 11 days of regular meals at my table. And then I just felt really satisfied that I decided not to drink anymore. I just felt really satisfied. And I'm gonna do that more, right? And for the rest of my life, because I'm done. Okay, so during this 14 days, the 11 days of regular meals, I actually also allowed myself to enjoy sugar. I had desserts every night, and I started to eat candy because it's October and there are bowls of candy everywhere in this hospital. I was just consuming as much sugar as I wanted to, realizing that I had recognized a drug pattern here. Shifting from one poor habit to the next, I was just, right? But cleansing, we remove things and we find out what's next, right? We find out what's next in line. And I recognized that drug pattern. I recognized that habit. An added bonus of living consciously. The awareness is incredible and sometimes breathtaking at how quickly you're smacked in the face with reality. But you can't unsee it. So you really just got to get comfortable with truth and leaning into it. Engaging in the process is what I actually call that. So I recognized the drug pattern. I recognized what's next in line for me. And I decided that I'm going to nip that in the butt, which is lesson 3, nip these behaviors or addictions in the bud right away. There's no point in dwelling in a toxic space and a state of being when you know how to move through it quickly. Once you've recognized it and it's not going to be a part of your forever, then you can just go. You can go past it. You can move through it. And I actually use this cleanse to do that very thing. I use it to do just that. So my solution is to dive into this is another 6 days, so I'm kind of seeing a little pattern here. So I'm diving into a 7-day Mucoid Plaque Cleanse, a water fast this time, because I don't have to detox from drinking. Nope. I can just dive into a water fast. Today is day 3 of said fast. And I've kept my schedule. Again, we're not going into the products and we're not going into what that routine looks like. But I have dove into another Mucoid Plaque Cleanse, and I am able to water fast this time. And this is to completely detox from sugar and then maintain that behavior after I end the cleanse, right? We'll see what this looks like. Because again, it's not linear and we go in and out. So we start with the best intentions and sometimes it works back in. So I have no expectations, but my intention is to eliminate sugar. And that is why I am Mucoid Plaque Cleansing for 7 days, to clean my blood, to detox from all the excess sugar, and to set my body in the right state so that it has the best chance of prolonging this and seeing this move to eliminate sugar moving forward. Okay, just like I did with all the others. Okay, but this is a big deal. So my tips is to always keep a Rise and Shine Cleanse on hand. I always keep it on hand. I will never not have it on hand because when these initiatives start up, I want to be able to go on it, move on it. So it's available to support you as you move in and out of these cleanse cycles. It becomes more important the closer you get to cleansing a behavior out of your lifestyle, that becomes more important because you don't want to prolong. And you'll increase the frequency of cleansing, and you want to keep it on hand so that there's no delay in cleansing. So moving in and out of these good feeling states. One, you don't have to, by keeping it on hand, and I'm not like plugging the product, but I am saying that like, because this has been such an integral part of the phases of my progression, that I will never not have this on hand. And since I'm talking about it with you, I'm going to give you the reasons why it is important to keep it on hand. Waiting for the product slows your progress. It also allows for whatever the toxicant is, whatever that substance is, whether it be sugar, whether it be, medication that you're trying to go or wean off of, or detox from, alcohol, substance, anything. It allows for further intoxication of that substance. The more the time passes, it allows for further intoxication of that substance because it accumulates in your body when your body doesn't have a break from it, okay? And then your mind creates a narrative that will ultimately rationalize and excuse your behaviors. So you'll start to create reasons as to why it's not even necessary to cleanse it out in the first place. Like, you got this, or like, hey, I can have this sugar, no problem. Or I can eat in a ton of food and no problem. We all have our thing. I believe that the Mucoid Plaque Cleanse through Rise and Shine actually gives you a way to stop it completely. So 4, the longer the toxicants have to accumulate in the body, your poisons take a hold of the physical. So while they're taking a hold of the physical, this means it's going to be more difficult for you to move away from these behaviors because that toxic substance is accumulating in your blood, and it's going to be hard to physically pull away from it. Not just mentally, like, oh, I can have this. It's like physically, you're going to have a pull to it that is unnatural because of the excess that has accumulated. And this doesn't matter if it's a week. It doesn't matter. It's when there's a pull, there'll be a pull, right? And then also, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it also increases the time that you feel contrast. When you feel contrast, it's significant, right? There's that significant feel good, feel bad type of feeling, right? But it's not necessarily a bad thing, considering it's the contrast that moves us in the direction of what we want and away from what we don't want, if we allow it. So again, that's like that cycle of contrast, that if you move towards what feels good, that duration in between cycles of cleansing is going to shrink, and you're going to jump into cleansing more and more and more until these behaviors are out and you can live peacefully without it, right? So this is totally worth it to me. I personally would not trade a moment of my experience. Even though I've seen some really turbulent and uncomfortable days and weeks and months along the way, as soon as I realized that that turbulence was simply contrast indicating what I don't want, it made it so much easier to understand what I do want. Just as it will you. Just as it will you. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in the various cleansing therapies that I practice, or if you're curious where I intend to go with my channel and would like to keep your finger on my pulse, please subscribe. Leave a comment or ask questions, and thanks for watching.